Hello everyone, Daniel Kerr here. So maybe you saw the video, but I installed Hacktribe on my Electribe Sampler, my ES2, and I wanted it to breathe new life, and it kind of did. I really enjoyed the new waveforms, but once I got into these FM waveforms and some of the other varieties of waveforms, I really wanted to modulate the oscillators, right? So basically, and I could have done this with my ES2 at all times, but because I got the new Hacktribe, I decided to plug it into Ableton Live and basically scrub through the MIDI CC numbers to see if I could find the good ones, and I isolated maybe 5 or 6 that I like. I'm going to show you how to use these in your software and also to record them into the unit using motion sequence, right? When I downloaded Korg's MIDI implementation for the Electribe Sampler, it was a bunch of hexadecimal. I'm not really sure how to read that stuff or try to get it to translate to MIDI CC numbers, but I thought I'd figure it out. And here we go. Let me show you first how I have everything set up as far as MIDI and such. You can see I have the adapter coming out of the MIDI in. Basically, it's like the little 1/4 inch, or excuse me, 1/8 inch adapter to MIDI, and it goes to a MIDI cable, and the MIDI cable goes into the back of my Steinberg interface, right? And that's basically what I'm using. I've got the audio via stereo 1/4 inch coming into the computer this way, and yeah, that's how I have it all set up. On my sampler, I have it locked to 132 BPMs, but it's actually slaved to Ableton's clock. So Ableton's going to give me stop, start, and whatever. And the first thing I'm going to do is, this is a blank pattern. Actually, I'm going to go to a blank pattern. This one's not one. I'm going to go to a blank pattern. See, it's blinking right now because it's waiting for clock. I'm going to go to a blank pattern, and I'm just going to basically use the software inside of Ableton to lay some notes down, right? And then I'm going to show you how to modulate different parameters. We're definitely going to be modulating the filter. We're going to be modulating the effects. We're going to be modulating the modulation and the depth and speed thereof, and the oscillators, right? Let's get started, and I'll show you how that works. Then I'll show you the practical applications when I make some techno. Here I am in Ableton Live, and I've got myself a MIDI channel here, and the MIDI channel is being sent MIDI to the Steinberg, right, which is being sent to the ES2, so it's armed for recording. If I play a note, okay, now you can hear it. So there's the audio. So let me show you how to control CC numbers with Ableton Live, right? Let's put ourselves a nice little bass line in, let's do it in F sharp. And okay, let's fire this off. Listen. Oh, that's because this guy here has the default sequence that they give you. Haha. Okay. Okay. Okay, there it is. As you can see, it's playing here. Over here we have the envelopes. I'm going to change this to MIDI control. There it is by default. Now, I have scoured the CC numbers, and I've found some. This list: 80 does pitch glide, 82 does oscillator edit, which is very useful, 83 does filter cutoff, 85 does something else to the filter. I haven't figured out what it is, maybe EG time. 86 does something to a sample, but not oscillators. 87 and 103, I haven't been able to figure out what they do. Maybe I was just overloading the system, changing the timing. Swing, maybe. 104 does effect send. So 82 is oscillator edit. So to modify MIDI control 82, we go down to number 82. And we choose it. Let's fire off our cliff. And it changes oscillator edit, okay? Now, if we go over here and change it to one of the new oscillators with some chutzpah, it sounds even more striking. Listen. Also, already very very helpful. Okay, here's another thing I figured out. If we go to 83, that's filter cutoff, right? So we go all the way open, listen, and bring it down, right? But if we make an envelope for this, right? On the unit over here, we can record these motion sequences. I'll arm this for record. Watch. Okay. If I fire this off without Ableton, notice we have the filter settings. They're exactly identical, but if I turn the filter down, this motion sequence that was recorded is relative to filter position. So it's all the way open, but if I turn it down, very interesting, huh? Resonance. Okay, so you can already hear why I think this sounds amazing for techno, okay? Now, here is the interesting thing. In Ableton, I wanted to try to map these CC numbers that I love to the knobs, but you can't do it. There's no way to map it to a knob natively, right? So, I went to Reaper and I downloaded their suite of free VSTs, which I've had actually installed for years, but I want to show you where to get it. It's reaper.fm/reaplugs. Okay, I'll put the link in the description. Over here, I can drag that control interface onto my MIDI track. However, this needs, by default, Ableton puts it after the device, right? It doesn't need to be after, it needs to be before. So what do? Well, what I do is I put it on another MIDI track, okay? And I have the MIDI track that's playing the music. Let me get a blank one going. And let's use the arpeggiator. Let's go back to notes. Let's go to F#2, F#2. Stretch that thing out to about here. And then to E2 here. Let's go down here to F#, stretch that thing out. And let's go up higher. And let's do an F# here. And a 5th. Okay, now when I play this, it's only going to play one note at a time because I have everything set to mono. Okay, however, I can put an arpeggiator on there. Okay. I can make it step. In fact, if I change this to a different channel, it'll play number 2. Okay, see it over here, number 2. Okay, none of this is too exciting so far, but it's kind of exciting to me, okay? So over here, this Reaper plugin, you need to enable CC changes and change it to raw mode, okay? And 82 over here, this is the oscillator that I was messing with before. So let's listen on, well, let's mute this guy here so we can just hear channel 2. Now, over here, I'm getting MIDI from all ins. I want to get MIDI from the first channel. Now watch. Whoops. Whoops, back to raw mode. There's that oscillator button, okay? 83 is filter cutoff. What else do I have mapped? 104 is effects off and on. 85 does something. Let's change this to 85. Change it to one of the new, more exotic oscillators. Chip triangle. Okay, 104. Let's turn the turn on the insert effects. Let's change it to okay, now watch this. Here's the beautiful thing about this. Down here we have 85, 82, and 83. Okay? We can open up this interface and go to Configure. And let's get rid of everything that is not what we just set. I'm hitting delete, just select and delete. So now all I'm left with is the 4 parameters that I want to modulate. And I can go over here to Max for Live and get a Max for Live audio effect and drop down a device randomizer. And map it to here. And you can set the timing and all that with this, but as you can see, let's fire this up. Beautiful. We can record all this and stop it. And what I'll do now is I will write this to 180, and then I'll go in here and change the length to 4. Right? Write it again, and let's arm that thing for record. Okay, now all of those changes, actually it's still working. Oh, that sounded crazy, didn't it? Let's stop this. Whoop. Let's listen. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to make some techno. Okay, so here we are in pattern 180, and let's listen. Two little things that we made. Let's mute these, and then let's go to these channels, and let's I'm going to go down here and put the drums in. Now I'm going to be using this sample pack that is my first Hacktribe pack, and you guys can get this link in the description. I'm going to be releasing some free stuff too, so you can go to ghostwrittenclips.com and you can sign up for the email list. But what we're going to be doing, hold down shift, doing things with one hand right now, but I have a hybrid drums. Hybrid drums, the next one is syn pitch, and that's 64 synth waveforms. The next one is kicks, okay, and that's what I want. And I'm going to move forward and find a kick that I like. Okay, and let's go into the sequencer, and we're just going to be working with 1 bar, and then we're going to extend it to 4 bars. Now, one of the major limitations of the Korg Electribe Sampler is that it has 4 bars and not 8 or even 16 bars, right? And that's kind of everybody's problem with it. But when you're writing techno, and I'm no expert in techno, although I did grow up on that stuff. I was born about an hour outside of Detroit, and I spent all of my teenage and early 20s partying in Detroit, basically, and living in that area. Here's what I think is best, is that you start with 1 bar and you get a good, hard, repetitive, very hypnotic beat going. Then you extend it to however many bars, and you do long and slow and evolving pattern changes in certain voices and things like that. So right now, let's listen. Now what I want to do now is I want to copy this part to this part, select pattern, okay, and now here, instead of kicks, I'm going to move it, hold shift and move 1 more to kick verbs, which are basically rumbles. Okay, now listen. Okay, now turn that down. we kind of want to find the right one, and we want to guide that rumble. What that is, this sample is 64 kick reverbs. Basically reverbs or delays that came off of kicks, and you can mix the kicks, 64 kicks, or the 64 rumbles together to find the sound that you're looking for. So let's scroll through. Let's use some filter. Good. Gives it some heaviness. Let's go back and choose a different kick. That's pretty good. We can mess with the pitch. Give it some overdrive. Mess with the pitch. Let's put some overdrive on this guy too, on the verb. Okay, and in the modulation filter, we can go to level, and we can get it to breathe a little or pump a little. Sounds good. Let's mess with the pitch of this. Okay, nice. Let's put some snares. Let's put some hats. Actually, we'll put those here. Let's make that mono one. Hybrid drums, and let's scroll through this and listen. Whoops, trigger. Finding this. Pretty good. So go to the sequencer. Pitch it up. Let's mess with the amp. Let's go here and add a snare. Pitch that up a little. Let's see what happens when we bring these synths in. It might be terrible. It sounds pretty happy, doesn't it? Much better. Let's get rid of this that we made, which I only really just made for a demonstration. Let's go to keyboard. Let's add some synths. In part number 7, I'm going to add my pitched synths, okay, which is basically 64 synths, but they're not sliced because I kept these in stereo. can choose the samples by messing with the sample start.